Hi, welcome to part 2 of my mask holder button videos. In this one we're going to make this ruffle holder, and you can see this is going to fit right on your glasses. I just want to mention that if this kind of shortens what you need on your masks, you can always just tie a little knot, okay? And see how these are going to, oops, doing it the wrong way. These are just going to hook around your mask and hold it in place instead of it going around your ears. So this ruffle, we're going to be using Julie Haymaker's ruffle mold for this. So that's an extra piece you'll need. And in this video, we're still going to continue with doing a tweed pattern, just like we did in the butterfly. You can see this is kind of like a tweed pattern. And this is too, it's just a different color. But in this one, we're gonna use rubber stamps to make it. And in this one, we use colored pencils. So I hope you enjoy the video, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in this project, we're gonna be doing the same thing. We're making our little eyeglasses holders, but I'm gonna show you how to do the tweed in a slightly different way. And this time we're gonna be using stamps. I'm using Versa Magic stamps, and these are great. They're very opaque, and they are permanent. So once we go ahead and shrink these down, this is all going to be permanent. You see, I'm just tapping on here, and I don't need to do the full stamp because the stamp is a little bit bigger than my forms here. Okay, now I just laid it down. I know that Julie shows you to clean these off a bit more at juliehaymaker.com, and she has free videos showing you how to stamp on trinkets. But in this case, I like my patterns to have a little bit more grit, and we are gonna rub some of this ink off. So just on the one side, we're on the sanded side. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in my second one and just lay it in that same spot. Okay, so we're doing 2 at a time here. Okay, and let me see if, yeah, that got all over that one. So we're good. And I think with the next color, what I'll do to compensate for this one being a little bit lighter than this one is the second color that I do, I'll start over here with this one. So just so we don't have any inks running into each other, I'm gonna put down the piece of paper and blot this. And be real careful when you're blotting. I may have just smudged that one up in the top right corner because my paper moved. So be careful when you do this, that you don't shove the paper across the trinket, because that can smear your impressions that are on there. Okay, so now what you can do, if you only have one stamp, go ahead and clean it off. And then next time we go at this with the same stamp, we're gonna go on the diagonal. But I happen to have a stamp that is the little diagonal pattern. So I'm gonna take my second Versa Magic, and this one is Aspen Mist. The first one was Aquatic Splash. And these are, I believe these are the chalk finish ones. So they have a real opaque look to them. Okay, so okay, and then just like before, I'm gonna turn this over and I'm gonna let it touch, but I don't really want to get a lot of it off. Just anything juicy that's left over on it, I want to get off. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that my pattern is still vertical and horizontal, because I know that this pattern is then diagonal. So if I go straight on here, it should give me that same effect that I got for for the linen pattern. This is a little bit different. This particular stamp is a little bit wider open than the than had I used the vertical and horizontal stamp again, but this time I think we need, I'm gonna give this a little bit more, okay? And we're gonna go on here. Okay, so that's the second color on that same stamp, or on the same piece. Okay, so you got the vertical and horizontal, and then we have all our diagonal stripes that we want. And I'm gonna pick up this piece of paper, and I just wanna blot, make sure you're blotting with a fairly fresh sheet of paper each time. You don't wanna use anything that's still wet. Okay, and there we go. So now, just like before, you know, we're trying to make a tweed. So I'm gonna bring in some permanent markers, and I'm gonna be a little bit more gentle with this than I was when I did this with colored pencils. Okay, might have to lift it up to see it. Okay, but just little splashes throughout. I wanted to show you this technique because it's quick. It's quick and it's fun to do, and it's hard to make a mistake. But you could of course do this where you blocked off areas and just did this in certain areas. That would be just fine too. Okay? All right. So we've got all of our color added, and then the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and shrink these down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and heat our shrink piece up and start shrinking it. I have my box, the pieces down in there already, and my popsicle stick, just to hold it in place. And turn on the heat gun and go in circles. And you can see how quickly that piece gets rolling. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off real quick. I'm bringing in my mold here, and I'm not gonna be able to use the centerpiece in this mold, and that's okay, because I'm just gonna use my popsicle stick to, again, keep holding it in place just for a second. It's pretty hot still, so it's gonna stay there pretty well. Okay, and I'm watching for the center between the holes to start depressing, because my piece is already pretty hot here. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring the top of my wavy mold on top of it and press down. I'm kind of using my fingers in the center. You can see I'm using 4 fingers here to just hold it in place for a few seconds. Okay, and then there we go. So now we have 2 little wavy pieces. So unlike the butterfly, where we had a you know, we wanted the piece to stick out, this time we want our pieces to have a little bit of wave and curve on the outside so that they look real cute on the sides of our glasses. Okay, so now we have our little pieces ready. Okay, you see how pretty that pattern is. This one's very subtle, so I'm going to use probably my lightest color that I have, which is the powder blue. And this one is going to be a little bit tighter. And I think it's because of that wave that we did. So I'm going to push it through one hole. You saw I squeezed it in half. And then I have to get it folded over to get it to come out the second hole. Okay. Now this one's a little bit tighter. I can see on the back that this is going to be a much smaller piece. So let me just show you that this pair of glasses that I'm going to show you doesn't have such a big tip on the end. You see this one that I did with the glasses, this one has a little bit smaller tip. Okay, so this is going to definitely fit on here without any kind of a problem. And remember, the O-rings are stretchy, so they will stretch to fit, but do be careful with your glasses when you're putting these on. You don't want to break your glasses frames. But I just want to show you that there's a couple different ways of doing this. And, you know, some of you may have wire glasses. This might be a nice tighter version to work with that. But you see now we have a cute little ruffle on the side, and that'll look really cute on the sides of your glasses.